Hi everybody, Keren here from tuppencecoloured.co.uk. Thank you very much for joining me, and this is what I've been making today. I've taken one of our mini pizza boxes and I've made it into a treat box to give to my special somebody on Valentine's Day. And I've tried to give it quite a masculine flavour because I'm going to be giving this to my husband. So stay with me, I'll show you what I did. I've cut a 1.5 inch strip off my piece of 12 by 12 designer series paper, and so my camera decided to turn itself off while I was doing that. So I'm just going to do a quick recap of what I did. After I'd scored my my strip of paper on both sides, I went ahead and I kind of concertina folded all of my my folds. So now I've got this kind of effect going on, and I'm going to put a little bit of liquid adhesive on these two these two pleats, and I'm just going to slip that over the two pleats on the opposite end of my concertina. Give them a squish, and I'm going to leave those on one side for the adhesive to get good and set. So I've given that a couple of minutes for the adhesive to dry, and while I was waiting, I cut out a circle of basic black card. I used a 1.5 inch circle punch, and I put some strips of double-sided tape all over the back of it. So now I'm centering my what is going to be my rosette over that card, and I'm just going to press down, and I hope that I've got that reasonably centered on the back there, and that is my rosette. So here is one of our pizza box. So this is one of the mini pizza boxes. They come in white. I've coloured this simply by taking my real red ink pad and just rubbing it all over the surface. Now that lays down quite a bit of ink, so I've done it off camera so that it's had time for the ink to get as dry as possible. And I don't know whether you can see here, but there's something's gone a little bit wrong there. It's taking the colour slightly differently. I don't know whether there was something that had got onto the pizza box. I don't know, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to cover it up. And I'm going to use this stamp from Parisian Beauty. I've got it all set up here on my ink pad, and I've got Versamark ink. And I've masked off where I don't want the stamping to go, and I'll make sure I've got that the right way up, because that would be silly otherwise. So let's have a bit in that corner, and a little bit over here as well, and here, and here, and some little bits just here. And if it overlaps, not going to stress about it. I did go over it first with my embossing buddy to try and keep the areas of overspray, and I'm now giving it a jolly generous coat of my embossing powder. And so I've taken a few minutes. I've cleaned the overspill off my heatproof mat. I've got my heat gun down by the side of me here warming up, and I'm just going to heat emboss that stamping, and then you will be able to see it more clearly. I'm going to stamp this word amour, again from the Parisian Beauty stamp set, and I've got my scrap of basic black, I've got gold embossing powder, I've got my stamp on my clear block, and I've got Versamark, and I've also got my embossing buddy. So I'm going to give a little bit of a tap first, and I'm just inking up my stamp with my Versamark, my well-loved Versamark. I'm not sure how well that is going to show. I'm got a slightly different setup at the moment because of my husband being ill and being home more than he normally is. I've got myself a new little laptop, and I've set myself up in my bedroom so that if he is around, then I don't have to worry about him being noisy and disturbing me. Okay, so I've got my gold embossing powder on that. I'm going to hold it with tweezers because it gets warm. Bring in my heat gun, which I'm trying to do left-handed here. Let me bring that way, that's better. And I'm going to put it on to high. Pop it out the way. Alright. Now I've got the classic label punch, and I'm just going to line up that word amour to where I want it, and I'm going to put it a little bit over towards the right, so it's not quite centered. And now I'm just going to, with the same punch, I'm just going to trim away a little bit on the end, and now I've got a nice little banner. I have die cut a heart and I've coloured it real red. I've actually cut this out of one of the pizza boxes. The idea I had in my head that was I was going to cut an aperture into the pizza box, and then you'd be able to see whatever treats were inside. I used the die that was the next size up to this, and it was too big. It took too much of the card away. So I'd gone to all the trouble of colouring it. I thought waste not, want not, and I die cut out as many hearts out of that pizza box as I could. So that is what I did. I'm going to sponge this one a little bit with a little bit of grey granite and my ordinary common or garden cut up kitchen sponge. You know, you use whatever you have handy. I just want to give this a little bit of dimension, a little bit of shape. Just very lightly, just sponging around the sides. It's very subtle, but it does make a difference. And I'm just going to go along the sides to make sure there's no white card showing along there. You can see there's the back of my pizza box. Now, of course, you could just use common or garden real red card, whatever you have. But one of the things I do like about this is that it does make quite a sturdy little embellishment. Now I'm going to bring it all together. So here is my my pizza box. So just to assemble this, all I'm going to do is push in these two sides, and they locate into little slots at the top of the box there, and that comes down and locks in place. These two pieces come in from the side, and then this bit goes over the top and tucks in, and there is your box. I'm going to, so let's put a little bit of liquid adhesive onto the back of my rosette, and I'm going to centre that into the front of the box. Okay, now Because I made this out of one of the pizza boxes, the back of it is shiny. So I'm just going to take, in this case I've just got some tweezers. You could use a craft knife, or if you had an emery board handy, that would be great as well. I'm just going to scratch that a little bit just to give the adhesive something to grab onto. And let me bring that up and bring that over and pop that on the front there. Now I did kind of experiment with, you know, putting it to one side that way or that way, but I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go with it pretty much centered. Okay, and that adhesive is definitely taking its time to set. Right, and last of all, here's my little sentiment. Now, my original idea was to have it tucked, you know, kind of tucked behind the heart and popping out, but I didn't really like it when I did that way. So what I did was I came back with that same punch, and just as I trimmed this end, I trimmed that end and shortened it a bit. So now I have a little banner that's got two, I don't know, what would you call that? I call them like flagged ends. Is that about right? Okay. So there we go. There is my my little treat box, all ready for me to pop my treats inside. So I've got some of these chocolate hearts, and I've got some of these little mini truffles, and I suppose it all depends how generous I'm feeling, how full I want to make my box. But there it is. Hi everybody. So there it is, that is the finished box, and I'm not 100% sure how well the experiment of using a different computer and working in a different room has gone out. I may need to think again about that one. But anyway, that is it for today. Thank you very much for joining me. Would love it if you came back and saw me again sometime soon, but for now, bye bye.